Fix It Tony here. So we have another car. This is an '07 Honda Accord with the V6, a 3-liter V6. This one really isn't consuming oil, but it does have a dirty problem. And you can kind of see when I just wipe the oil off the inside of the cap here. And this goes with a lot of different Hondas do this. I don't know. It's usually the, soft rings, a little bit of excess, moisture getting in the system or whatnot. It's been 3,000 miles since the oil change, so we'll take a little gander here, see if she's actually drinking any oil. You can clearly see this oil is dirty. So we'll go ahead and put this in, see where she's at. And not consuming oil, only about a half quart down. So the consuming oil is not the problem. The issue is the look of the inside of this engine. And you can see tons and tons of varnish. And this is just built up over time. This car has over 180,000 miles on it. We did a timing belt. We did a bunch of care on this engine. Now we just want to kind of make the engine look better. And the way we can do that on the inside to keep it clean. Clean engines run longer. You can see there's just a lot of residue, a lot of buildup. It's kind of everywhere in here. So that's not oil. That's actually just stuff built up in there. So we get a before and after. We'll look at the oil pan too. We're going to go ahead and change the oil on this, and this will be the first oil change with the Valvoline Restore and Protect, and we'll see how she does. We'll bring her back in probably a couple of months and do a follow-up video, but stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and get into the car and drain the oil and take a look at the oil pan. All right, so we'll take the drain plug loose here. It's just a 17 millimeter. Honda's nice enough to put an arrow to let you know that you're draining the oil pan, not the transmission. Some people do have difficulty discerning the two. This one's always fun because this crossover pipe kind of blocks you. So when this engine's hot, this is kind of a pain. So take a little shot here, and there we go. Oil's dirty, but nothing concerning, nothing out of the ordinary. Now we'll get up here and just take that oil filter loose and take a look at it. All right, so I took the oil filter loose. We'll let that drain out, let the oil pan finish draining out. We'll be good to go. I always like to take a look under here, see what else is going on. We do have lower ball joints that are worn out. We have a tie rod that's split on the inside here. So it does need suspension work. This is definitely an OE suspension. They use KYB, which is generally a really good strut and will last a long time. I am noticing a little bit of a leak here, kind of sourcing it up to take a look. It looks like it's the power steering line, so that's something that's going to be in our future. It wasn't actively dripping, but it's definitely sweating, so we're going to have to pay attention to that. This side of suspension, same thing, just worn out ball joints, and that's something that's going to be in the near future, so I'll advise and let them know that's something we're going to need to do. A little bit of an oil leak back here, but mostly sweat. It's coming from the oil filter housing up here at the top. Something we can address next oil change. We'll just get the gaskets and O-ring. Super simple to do. We already put brakes on this vehicle, and it's in really good shape for the mileage. A lot of people get scared of these Accords because they have a V6, but honestly, they're very reliable. They've been, this 3-liter's been around since the NSX in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. They're a very reliable motor. The transmissions, on the other hand, have been known to fail, but it's usually because people don't service them, and you'll get varnish on the inside of this thing and gum, and it clogs up the solenoids, which doesn't allow this to shift. So every oil change, I advise my customers when I work with them, let's go ahead and drain this. Just get me a couple quarts of Honda ATF, and that will drain this when I drain the oil, and then I'll refill it. And every oil change, keep on doing that. It's cheap insurance, keeps fresh fluid in there. You don't ever have a problem. So we'll let this finish draining. We'll get the scope in there and take a look. We'll see what's going on inside the engine. We'll drain the transmission. We'll take a look inside that too. All right, so we'll take our scope and we'll take a look inside of here and see what we got going on. And it's actually not that bad. The buildup looks very similar to most Hondas I look inside of. It's mostly towards the upper end, towards the cylinder heads. That's where the vapor and the varnish builds up. But we can see what it looks like now. This engine looks well maintained. So we'll see what Restore and Protect does to this one, and we'll move on to the transmission now. All right, so we have our oil filter on. We're just gonna clean up. I actually got this filter from Valvoline. And people are asking, you know, am I sponsored by Valvoline? I am not. I've just found their products to be superior after years and years of working on a whole bunch of cars and different types and all sorts of stuff. They just have a superior product. Also, if you go online to their global website, you can actually subscribe and put all your oil filters that you need, put the frequency you need, and you get like 20% off. And I'll put the link in the description. I thought that was pretty cool because I buy the oil since I do so many oil changes, not on purpose, but because I have, you know, a lot of friends that need help. I get the oil in the 5-gallon jugs for dramatically cheaper. Ends up working to be like $12 every 5 quarts, so it's pretty cheap. Anyway, got this all wiped off. Now we'll move on to the transmission. All right, so the best way to get these, oh yeah, see, look at that fluid, it's nasty. I've been doing this the last 2 oil changes, and yeah, there's definitely some buildup on there. But drain and fill, usually take out 4 to 4.5 quarts. And you got a magnet on here, and you can see it has some fuzz on it. So definitely get some wear in the transmission, but this is why you want to drain and fill these. If the fluid is cold, it's good to have the fluid match with the fluid you're putting in, because with heat it expands, so you have to put more of a colder fluid, so it makes it hard to get to the right level. So if it's cool, just like the fluid that you're going to be putting into it, you can do 1 for 1, and it makes it a lot easier. So this is what I'm talking about. So we're wiping this off, see all that buildup. That's just clutch material. It's normal wear and tear for these transmissions. But again, if you're not draining this fluid, all this junk just stays in there, and eventually it'll get hot, it'll turn to varnish, it'll start getting stuck in the solenoids. Then you have a more serious issue to deal with. So I just wiped this clean. We'll let this finish draining. We'll get a scope in there. Actually, you might be able to do that right now. We're about ready for it. Ready. We'll take a gander in there, see what she looks like. And here we are. And she doesn't look bad at all, actually. Really clean inside. Besides that residue you see at the bottom there. Right there. This is why it's important to drain and fill these. So this doesn't look bad at all. If we keep draining the fluid, every couple oil changes, we'll flush all that out of there, and this will be in good shape and hopefully get over 200,000 miles out of this transmission. So these are the 5-gallon jugs I was talking about. They're $100 on the Valvoline website. They give you a 20% discount for ordering these in advance and basically becoming part of their subscription. You can put oil filters, you also get a discount on those. So basically you're getting 5 gallons, 20 quarts, equivalent to 4 jugs for these bad boys right here. And then you can just keep your jug and refill it as needed to exactly how much oil you need to put in the car, which makes that a little bit easier. And then also you don't get all the trash once you're done with it. Like with this one, empty, toss it in the trash, you're good to go. So basically $80 for 4 quarts, and you're looking at $20 a jug equivalent. So you're saving money here. You're not having a bunch of extra bottles sitting around. Much better deal. And then you just fill up and keep 1 bottle around. So we're gonna put 4.5 quarts in this 520 jug and go from there. Okay, so we went and topped her off with 4.5 quarts. We topped off the power steering because we do have a little leak. I'm gonna order that hose, not a cheap hose, but we're gonna get that ordered because it's just eroded and it's got a little bit of a leak there. You may ask why I have the impact out. You know, a lot of times these fill nuts, for whatever reason, Honda, these go on ridiculously tight, hot cold cycles. It decides to just wedge itself in there really good, and I had to get out the big guns to break this thing loose. It does happen. Don't be afraid to use heavy duty machinery. Better to use an impact than to use a breaker bar, because as you know, if you have ever tried to get a crankshaft bolt off one of these, it's a bad experience with the breaker bar. Much easier to have a high quality impact. So if you can't get this off, that's not abnormal. They are a pain in the butt. The one thing I do have to say though, you do want to use Honda fluid in their transmissions. It's the one place I don't use Valvoline. I haven't had good luck with their Max Life product or any of their products for transmissions, except for their Dex and their Merc that they use for the GM and Ford transmissions. But everything else has not worked out very well. So spend the money, go to the dealership, get their actually OE fluid, and you'll be in a much better place. Went ahead and top that off. We'll start her up and make sure the fluids are good, and we'll go from there. All right, so we have her all back together. About 3.5 quarts in the transmission. Make sure it's good. Topped off the power steering, topped off the oil, 4.5 quarts. We're good there. I'm going to make an advisory probably next time. We are going to deal with the suspension, dealing with the new components we're going to need there. I also did notice some cracking here in some of the intake area. If that goes all the way through, you might just seal it. If it can't be sealed, then we'll have to replace that. And then this power steering line, we're going to get that replaced. So a lot of this preventive maintenance, again, keyword preventive. We're trying to prevent problems from happening to keep this engine lasting a lot longer. So with that said, please like, subscribe, and share. If you like this and you want to see future content, please subscribe, because we will have this car back. We'll do some more work to it. And best of all, we'll take a look and see what Restore and Protect did with the inside of this engine if it cleaned it out. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.